by saying that I do not stand here as your spiritual leader, but as a fellow spiritual seeker. And I want to thank everyone for allowing me the opportunity to practice this craft that I hope I will be doing on more of a routine basis in my future. So, for the next 5 weeks, I've been tasked to do the 5 Unity basic principles. Okay? Now, it's all Larry's fault, okay? I just want you to know he gave me this little book, and it was called The 5 Principles on Practical Spirituality, and I love the word practical because I tend to be very results-oriented, which is very hard for someone that, you'll see why. Okay. So, let's go over what we're going to be talking about over the next 5 weeks, because we need to all be on the same basis, coming from at least know what our belief system is. And that way we can all relate, I believe, better. And so today's is going to be about God is all there is. And Unity, when I looked it up on the website, says it a little bit differently, but what they say is God is absolute good, everywhere present. And next week we'll be talking about you are God. And some of you, I heard, uh-oh, you are God. And Unity says human beings have a spark of divinity within them, the Christ Spirit within. Their very essence is of God, and therefore they are also inherently good. No more born in sin, guys, okay? And we're going to be talking a lot about that next week. And I went all off on I love stages, and I love developments, and I love things to fit in little boxes. So next week we're going to have a little bit more of that. And so the third week, we are co-creating with God. And this is, Unity says, human beings create their experiences by the activity of their thinking. Everything in the manifest realm has its beginning with thought. And we'll be talking a lot about the law of attraction. And then week 4, communing with God. We'll talk a lot more about prayer and meditation, methods of communication between God and humankind. And I'm going to try my best to have some kind of concrete data for you guys, because I believe there's some fact, scientific fact in the physical realm. And then finally, expressing God, which I believe is why we all get up on Sundays and come here every day, is we know we have this potential. And since we spend a lot of time watching commercials, have it your own way, you deserve a break today, blah, blah, you know, we need to come together in some form of commonality and saying we're more than we're more. And we know this in our heart. Now, it's very hard to not be subjective. And I just want you to know the last 2 times I spoke with you, the first time was one of the easiest times I've ever done because the data was provided for me. We talked about stages, I brought in the hierarchy of need, and I kind of married it, and that really wasn't difficult because I didn't have to organize the data. Well, today, God is all. You think that was a little big? Yeah. So, I've got, this is about half of stuff that I kind of looked up, and I learned, you know, spent a little bit of time with other religions, and I spent a little bit of time with quantum theory, yeah, and then I spent a little bit of, quantum reality. I brought the book, okay? So I like something to sink my teeth in, and I thought that you might too. So I've given you a little handout. So God is all there is. And most of you really don't believe that. But it's a basic Unity principle. And I'm going to give you some reasons to choose to believe that. Because when it comes down to it, it's all your choice now, isn't it? Yes, that's right. And there's 3 themes that I'm going to talk about today. And one is science supports it, nature expresses it, and your heart feels it. Now, I got to tell you, I did my little practice in front of John, you know, and I had science proves it, okay? And we debated and argued, and he won. So I said, science supports it, okay? They support. Now, it depends on how far this rabbit holes we want to go down. But we live in an amazing time. We live in a time where science and, in my opinion, spirituality is actually kind of crossing over, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, for centuries, people have believed that God was everything in everything. Well, now all of a sudden, they've got this lovely science called quantum theory. So, first of all, before I start anything, let me just say to you, when I was thinking, how am I going to communicate this complex idea in a simplistic fashion, I thought of electricity, because I go throughout my house and I flip a switch, right? And then light comes on. Now, do I know how electricity works? Some of you might know all the formulas. Some of you might understand how the wiring works. You know, I don't, but I know it works. I know it's there, right? Can I get a nod, somebody? Okay. So I want you to understand, when we go through these little principles, I might not be able to give you all the formulas. You can find them, and I will give you where you can go to find them. Okay? You need some more definition. So we're going back to, what grade did we learn about atoms? Protons, electrons, neutrons? 5th grade? 7th grade? 8th grade? I don't know. Okay, we learned at that time that everything in the physical realm was made of these little things called atoms, right? And it's what makes solid, right? And it's how fast they move, right? Okay. So, there you go. All right. Well, now they're learning, I guess they've been toying with this concept of quantum theory for about, 50-ish years. And I'm here to tell you that they believe, well, a lot of the physicists believe, he wants me to mention names. Nick Herbert is one of these many physicists, and I have a quote in here, because I don't want you to believe me. But what they're saying is the entire universe is made up of one substance. Now, they still argue about what that substance is, whether it's energy, and if that energy is wavelengths, or if it's electromagnetic energy, or what kind of energy it is, or frequencies, or, you know, you get the picture. But they all agree it's one substance. Okay? So, let's read this paragraph. It says, the world is one substance. As satisfying as that discovery may be to philosophers, it is profoundly distressing to physicists as long as they do not understand the nature of that substance. For if quantum stuff is all there is, and you don't understand quantum stuff, your ignorance is complete. Does that help you? Okay, so that's why we come on Sundays, right? Because we're trying to learn about this quantum stuff. All right, so we know this quantum stuff is energy, right? I mean, they're speculating until they find something else new. We know that energy is never destroyed, it only changes forms. Now, if you were some kind of infinite intelligence out there and you created the entire universe and everything is made up of you, you figure you could never be destroyed? Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Okay. So we know the world is one substance, and we know that energy is never destroyed, it only changes form. But as I began reading more and more, you know, quantum mechanics and quantum theory and quantum reality, and hey, maybe there's other dimensions, and hey, maybe there's antimatter, and it was like, okay, this is too much, it's too much. I came upon Bell's interconnected theorem, and you're welcome to go and study that. But the bottom line for me, there was also some other study, ERP, I think it was, and Schroeder, I think was his name. Anyway, the bottom line was that there is some form of infinite intelligence that moves faster than the speed of light, and everything communicates with everything. Everything's interconnected. Now, does that sound familiar? Yes. Wi-Fi? Wi-Fi? Hey, that would have been a better example for you young people out there about computers, you know, how you just stick it in and you don't understand how the internet works, but it does? Okay. I digress. All right. Yeah. Okay. So, science supports it. The world is of one substance. Energy can never be destroyed. It only changes forms. And everything is interconnected. I don't understand why I don't see wow on your faces. Okay. And then I had to stick this in here, and I have a lot more that I thought I was going to read, but I don't think I'm going to. Quantum reality, he has about 8 or 9 realities that he talks about. And what they found that, I'm going to try to do this in really simplistic terms, that when physicists are studying and they're doing their little experiments, they found out that the person that's observing affects the outcome. Okay? Did everybody get that?
Yes.
So the argument, I think one of the many arguments or debates or theories, is matter really made up of particles, and are particles really just energy? And do they just change forms? And are there multiple options? And I think the answer is yes. So consciousness creates reality. They're studying this on a scientific level. We're not talking about a bunch of people that come together and say that God is everything and we're just going to choose to believe that. But we actually have reasons now to believe that you and you and you and you and me are acting on our lives. Consciousness creates reality. Okay.